I'm going to save it because this garment helped me save the life of a Jew who told me he was just dying from troubles. Maybe it'll be a zechus for me. I'll have a zechus that I did a mitzvah with this. When Reb Chaim Sanzer heard this, he started to cry. And he says, wow, you did such a thing? You let yourself be so embarrassed and humiliated and shamed just to help another Jew? I want you to listen to me. You should live a long life of arichut yamim v'shanim. But when it's time for you to leave the world, when it's time for you to check out of the hotel, by checkout, tell the Chevra Kadisha, you want to be buried, not in the normal white robe which a Jew is buried in. It's a robe without pockets, by the way, because a person can't take anything with him. Even his toys don't go with him to the next world. And guess what? You should be buried in the black priest's robe, as absurd as it sounds. And that's what happened. His last will and instruction to his family was, when he was dying years later, I know it sounds strange, but Reb Chaim Sanzer said I should be buried in the priest's robe. If you imagine in Gan Eden, all the Jewish people there standing with their white robes, and there's one with a black robe, in a priest's robe, no less. How'd you come here? And it turns out, Rav Shalom Schwadron says that they buried him that way. And eventually the Polish government needed to make a street in the road. Sometimes they have to, when they make roads, they have to tear apart anything in the way, even if it's a cemetery. They empty out all the skeletons of the dead people, and they move them to a different place. And guess what? When they were moving that part of the cemetery where Pesach was buried, they came to his body, and when they were taking it out, they saw that it was perfectly fresh. None of the bugs and worms and maggots were able to eat the skin. And guess what? His foot was sticking out of the robe, and that foot was totally eaten up by the bugs. By the worms. But his rest of his body that was in the robe was protected because Reb Chaim Sanzer had told him that no malach of destruction, no malachi Kabbalah will be able to touch you if you are buried in such a garment that you suffered for another Jew. What a story. What a story, Abotai. What's the lesson of the story? Yes, Ezra. If someone knocks on the door, try to help him. And by the way, sometimes we tell ourselves, I can't help someone. And the truth is, we really could. Oh. So maybe we need to Photoshop Rabbi Safti. Okay, should I go over there, Lachayr? Okay. Fine. There's a beautiful story that Rabbi Kron brings in his book, Rav Pesach Kron, the legendary Maggid. It's also in the book Sh'al Avicha V'Yagedcha. And I just heard this story on the radio this week. Rabbi Elio Elbaz, the Rav of SLC, was speaking on the radio, and he said this story. It's a story about Pidyon Shivuyim, about rescuing someone who's in captivity. The story goes that Rabbi Yohanan Eibshitz was a great Goyin in Klal Yisrael, a great Talmid Chacham, a Gadol whose Svarim grace every yeshiva in the world, every Beis Medrash. And he married the daughter of a Gevir. A Gevir is a rich man who gave him a nedunya, a dowry of 3,000 gold coins. Now, 3,000 gold coins, we'll just say, for argument's sake, is about $1 million. Wow. It turns out his father-in-law gave it to him so that this way he could devote time to learn Torah day and night without having to worry about making parnasa. Rabbi Yonason had a chavrusa who must have also been a major Talmid Chacham, and they'd be busy learning Torah Hashem. You're very lucky if you have a chavrusa. Not everyone has a chavrusa. Chavrusa is a very good friend who you could talk to about any personal issues you might be having, any troubles, problems. And it's someone who, together with you, steig to know more and more Torah. So one day, the Tumah in the world, which means the Satan, decided to make a problem. He put in the mind of the Goyim to build a church, a temple of Avodah Zarah, right opposite the shul, the Beis Medrash. So this way, when people come out of the study hall, what's the first thing they see? A davar tameh. The Yetzer Hara tries very hard to make people notice in the street devarim tameim. Let's go outside. And this way, it is metamtein their mind. I hope I don't have to send anyone out for misbehaving. Okay? You're next. Sit straight, not playing games. If you're restless, good. Save your energy for recess. It turns out they put a big avodah zarah, maybe an idol or a cross, on their church, and this bothered very much the chavrusa of Rabbi Yonasan. He couldn't sleep at night to know that such an ugly thing, such a davar tameh, is next to the Beis Medrash. So he decided to break it, to crack it off, and that's exactly what he did. He went in the middle of the night when it was dark, climbed on the roof, and he cracked, maybe with an axe or something, or a saw. But he got caught. And the Goyim grabbed him, and they decided that they were going to burn him to death as a punishment for breaking their avodah zarah. At first, the Yidden didn't know, where's this guy? And Yonasan wondered, where's this chavrusa? Till eventually they heard that he was being captive and he was going to be killed. Someone who was part of the church actually sneaked to the Jewish neighborhood, and he said, I want to tell you what's happened. This man was caught breaking the temple logo, and if you give me $1 million, 3,000 gold coins, I'm going to save him. I'm going to let him escape before he's killed. When the people heard this, they decided it's emergency. We have to fund emergency right now. Money to save this guy. He shouldn't, chas v'shalom, be executed for fighting for Hashem's honor. And when they went around, people gave generously. But when the word came to Rabbi Yonasan, he said, please, I have over here a special box of life savings of money that my father-in-law gave it to me as a present when I married his daughter. I'm willing secretly to give it over to you. Go and save him. So it was amazing. He was able to save him, and Rabbi Yonasan wondered, what am I going to do when my wife finds out that I gave away all the money? Women in general worry about the money in the house probably even more than the men. And it turns out he felt he had to come up with a strategy, what he should tell his wife. She shouldn't start getting angry that you gave away the money that my father gave you for us. But he felt he had no alternative. Pikuach nefesh teiches haTorah. He had to save a person who was in grave danger. He decided to go out of town for a few days, and he would think of how he would explain to his wife what happened to the money that was given away. Well, Hashem has a lot of ways to run his world, and Hashem made the person that took the bribe to save him was actually being investigated, and the Goyim were going to chase him and kill him because he gave away the Jew. He returned the Jew. And they started chasing him. So he came to the house of Rabbi Yonasan, and Rabbi Yonasan left. And he said, please, take this money. And even I have other money from other things that I did. Please, hide it. You're an honest person. And she's like, what are you talking about? She says, your husband, he gave me so much money to save his chavrusa from death. And please, I'm giving it to you. The church, I don't want them to catch me with all the money, and I don't want them to chase me and kill me. So I'm going to go hide. But here, hold on to this money. You must be very honest people, because I see that your husband was so generous, is giving away his money to help someone. She didn't believe this, but the guy went, and eventually it seems he got drowned, he got killed. And when Rabbi Yonasan came back, his wife was smiling. She says, Hashem returned the money. And Rabbi Yonasan was like, you know about the money? She says, yeah, look, this whole box of money was returned. The church was going to catch the guy who rescued the Jew, and he was scared of being caught, and he said we should hold the money, and if he doesn't come back, we can keep it. And Rabbi Yonasan started to cry. And she didn't understand. I'm so happy we got the money back, so why are you crying? He says, it could be Hashem didn't like my mitzvah. Let me fast, and I'm going to ask Hashem to let me know why I didn't like my mitzvah. And he fasted for a long time, a few days, and then he was told in a dream that he didn't share the mitzvah with anyone else, so Hashem was giving it back to him. So on one hand, the wife was very happy, we got her money back. But Rabbi Yonasan was very sad because he realized that Hashem was upset at him for doing the mitzvah by himself. Hashem wants me to do a mitzvah together. So the next time you're thinking about doing a mitzvah yourself, say, I have to get other people involved. That'll be a bigger zchus, a bigger kiddush Hashem, B'raiv Am, Hajas Melach. The story we're going to say now is called Amen in middle of the night. It's very special when you make a bracha and someone answers Amen. Someone once described it like a beautiful present with a gift wrap and a bow. The Amen makes the whole present that much more special. When you say a bracha to Hashem, it's like giving Hashem a gift, a present of praise and gratitude and thanks. And when someone says Amen, it's like the beautiful ribbon that dresses the gift, the bracha, so nicely. But sometimes, myself included, we're lazy to say a bracha out loud that people should answer Amen. I remember a Rebbe of mine in Cleveland, Ohio. He would make sure every morning to say Berachas HaShachar with someone next to him to answer Amen. His name is Rabbi Elio Osban. He would walk over to someone, the sitter, please answer Amen, and say the brachas. And he didn't feel that he was bothering anybody by making them answer Amen. He felt, I'm giving you a zechus, I'm giving you a mitzvah. Maybe sometimes we feel we're bothering someone if we make them answer Amen. We shouldn't think that way. We should feel that we're helping the person. With that, it says that when does a person get Gan Eden? When he answers Amen. So you're giving the person a chance to get pleasure and delight and reward and Olam Haba. What could be better? It turns out there was a great tzaddik, his name was Reb Chaim Volozhner, who was very makpid, very strict on himself, to always say a bracha when someone was present to answer Amen. And if he didn't see someone to answer Amen, he simply didn't make the bracha. He waited till later, till he saw someone. So if, let's say, he had a drink of water and there was nobody to answer Amen, he would wait. And then when someone would come, he would make the bracha and they would answer Amen. It turns out it was late one night. He was learning Torah after Chatzais in the night. Please throw out the wrappers. All they're doing is making a crackling sound. And you know what happened? Thank you. And whoever got a wafer, it's because I thought you were davening loud and clear and you were looking inside. If I missed you by davening, hopefully you could still get a treat if you read the psukim in Chumash, Lebedik, and nice.